Australia, a land utterly unlike the rest of the world. The creatures that live here seem to have evolved to outsized proportions far larger than their relatives elsewhere. A giant monitor lizard clinging to a window in Australia. A bat as large as a full-grown human hanging upside down from a roofie top. An earthworm as thick as a snake, or spiders larger than a human head. Grotesque creatures of colossal size. Yet everything we see in Australia today is in fact only a diminished version. If you could travel back to prehistoric times, you would witness an Australia far more dangerous and terrifying many times over. A continent where animals existed at their maximum scale. Prehistoric Australia was almost a world in which humans could not survive. From about 25,000 to more than 11,000 years ago, Australia was home to a biological community known as megafauna. This term refers to animals of enormous body mass that lived during the late Pleistocene. Creatures weighing up to 22 tons once turned Australia into a kingdom of giants. A lion with bulging muscles and jaws, possessing the most powerful bite force of any marsupial ever to exist. Giant kangaroos, standing nearly 10 feet tall, weighing more than 441 pounds, with faces uncannily human. Crocodiles stretching 20 feet in length, able to run at remarkable speed on land, or ancient birds weighing hundreds of pounds that hunted in packs. Reconstructions of prehistoric Australia are enough to leave many people in awe. For this was a world crowded with colossal beings armed with razor-sharp claws, bone-crushing jaws, and bodies so massive they could make the ground tremble. To understand why Australia was once a land of monstrous giants and is today home to the most venomous species on the planet, we must travel back more than 180 million years to a time when the world looked entirely different. At that moment, the land that is now Australia was fused with Antarctica, South America, and Africa within the supercontinent Gondwana. The global climate was warmer than today, and Antarctica was not yet locked beneath ice. Then the Earth began to shift. Vast fractures, thousands of miles long, tore through the crust. As the Australia-Antarctica tectonic plate began to split, these rhyphites widened, magma surged upward, and new land was born. This process lasted tens of millions of years, and the final outcome was Australia slowly separating from Antarctica. And around 45 million years ago, this continent began dry-feeding north, cutting itself completely free from the landmass it had been bound to since the earliest ages. This separation was not merely a physical movement. It was the deep cause that sent Australia's entire plant and animal life down a distinct evolutionary path. In science, this is known as taxonomic isolation, when a group of organisms is cut off from the rest of the world. For long enough, they evolve into independent lineages, sometimes entirely different. And Australia is the clearest example of this phenomenon on Earth. For more than 40 million years, the Australian continent did not stand still. It dry-footed steadily northward at roughly the speed of human fingernails, growing about 2.4 to 2.8 inches per year. This movement carried Australia into new climate zones where monsoon storms and ocean currents followed rules vastly different from those near Antarctica. Ancient forests in southern Australia were gradually pushed back. Regions once dense and green began to dry out. As the climate grew harsher, nature forced life to adapt in ever more extreme ways. Dry air, nutrient, poor soils, and highly flammable vegetation made wildfires a frequent natural phenomenon. Fire did not merely destroy ecosystems, it created a very specific evolutionary pressure. Plant species capable of withstanding fire, or even requiring fire to germinate, came to dominate. Animals that were agile, able to travel long distances to escape flames, or capable of burrowing underground to survive, endured. Those that were not fast enough, not strong enough, or not adaptable enough vanished forever. And it was within this unforgiving environment that prehistoric giants were born and began to rule. Foremost among these colossal creatures was Diprotodon optatum. It looked like a strange fusion of a bear, a hippopotamus, and a koala enlarged to the scale of many tons. Imagine a wombat the size of a modern rhinoceros with an oversized nose, and you begin to picture Diprotodon. This giant marsupial stood nearly 6.6 feet tall, stretched more than 11.5 feet in length, and weighed over 2 tons, comparable to a modern SUV. Its 4 powerful legs were fitted with claws on the forelimbs for digging, while 2 massive, elongated incisors allowed it to consume from 220 to 331 pounds of grass and leaves every day. Its large nasal cavity could produce low-frequency sounds, enabling social communication across long distances, an impressive trait of this species. Diprotodon was a strictly herbivorous animal. Living in small herds, it migrated seasonally in search of water and zoophyte vegetation. Perfectly adapted to arid climates, it dug for roots, slowly chewed leaves and grass without haste. But when threatened, the story changed. A charge from Diprotodon was equivalent to a pickup truck slamming headlong into an obstacle. Its bite force reached 11,000 newtons, enough to crush the bones of any smaller animal. Fossils bearing shattered bones and fractured skulls revealed that when enraged, Diprotodon did not hesitate to fight. Its sheer power made even larger predators think twice. More than 18,000 years ago, the wild landscapes of Australia were also home to another formidable beast, the ancient giant kangaroos, known scientifically as Procoptodon goliath. This prehistoric kangaroo averaged up to 529 pounds in weight, stood about 10 feet tall, and possessed jaws far more powerful than those of modern kangaroos. Procoptodon goliath was vastly different from its modern relatives. Long, muscular hind legs gave it extraordinary strength, allowing it to leap great distances while maintaining balance. Broad feet with a large, powerful big toe functioned like a natural hammer to strike attackers. Short but muscular arms were strong enough to pull food from low trees and fend off rivals. A long, rigid tail acted as a supporting pillar when standing and as a weapon when necessary. Procoptodon was a browser, feeding on grasses and leaves, with a particular preference for zoophyte shrubs and high foliage beyond the reach of smaller kangaroos. They lived alone or in small groups, roaming open grasslands and sparse woodlands. Normally docile, but when threatened, Procoptodon could become a true nightmare. Its powerful hunt kicks were strong enough to bring down opponents twice its size, breaking bones or forcing predators to retreat. A Procoptodon could leap from about 19.7 feet to 26.2 feet in a single bound, using its tail as a prop when standing upright, its hind legs striking and pushing as it moved, both attacking and defending at once. That is why, despite being herbivores, Procoptodon were always regarded as the giant boxing champions of prehistoric Australia. But not every creature was gentle. One of the 2 dominant rulers on the ancient Australian landmass was Quincana fortirostrum. Quincana was an extinct genus of terrestrial crocodile that lived in Australia from about 24,000 to 24,000 years ago. Emerging in the late Miocene and persisting into the Pleistocene, they became one of the top land predators on this continent. In the minds of most people, crocodiles are animals of the water. and even when on land, they appear sluggish and inactive. However, paleontologists have discovered that Quinkana was capable of running fast on land. Quinkana crocodiles had large, long and thick skulls with prominent eyes set on the sides, allowing excellent awareness of their surroundings. Depending on the species, they could reach lengths of 9.8 to 19.7 feet and weigh up to 485 pounds. They typically possessed conical teeth that allowed them to grip prey with slippery skin. The teeth of Quinkana were curved and serrated, a structure similar to dinosaur teeth, forming a razor-sharp biting weapon. This crocodile had a rounded but not bulky body, a very long tail, and its back and tail were covered with tough armored plates to resist enemies. Its limbs were relatively long, with the hind limbs stronger than the forelimbs. These long, powerful legs enabled effective movement on land, allowing it not only to walk, but to run at high speed. Like African cheetahs, they relied on long, agile legs to race down prey, such as birds, small reptiles, and mammals during the hunt. Quinkana represented a new generation of apex carnivores in Australia, yet it was still not the largest predator on the continent. The largest carnivorous animal of this era in Australia was the ancient lizard Megalania. Imagine a creature shaped like a Komodo dragon, but twice the length of a car, heavier than a wild buffalo, and moving like a perfectly engineered killing machine built for a harsh world. Megalania was a giant lizard that once dominated Australia during the last ice age. Reaching lengths of up to 23 feet and weighing more than 1,300 pounds, the king lizard, Megalania, was a terror in Australia some 5,000 years ago. With a distinctive bony ridge on its snout, this creature was a dangerous predator, targeting large mammals, snakes, and birds. The speed of Megalania has long been debated, but based on skeletal structure and comparisons with Komodo dragons, researchers estimate it could move at about 6.2 miles per hour. That may not sound fast until you understand what is chasing you. A predator weighing nearly as much as a pickup truck with jaws full of scalpel. Sharp serrated teeth able to surge forward with a body swing nearly 13.1 feet in each stride. Armed with razor-sharp teeth, powerful jaws, and possibly venom, Megalania, who could bring down enormous prey, including giant kangaroos, flightless birds, and even marsupial lions. Its toxic saliva caused infection before the prey succumbed. Megalania hunted by ambush, attacking anything that dared cross its territory. This species also possessed small bones embedded within the skin around the snout and neck. Megalania lived across a wide range of Pleistocene environments, including open woodland forests and possibly grasslands. Its fossils have been found in river and stream deposits as well as in caves. The species was rare at all sites and likely did not live permanently along streams or inside caves. Remarkably, despite its massive size, Megalania did not need to eat frequently. It could consume a single meal amounting to 80% of its body weight and then survive comfortably for an entire month without hunting again. During periods of food scarcity, this gave Megalania a decisive advantage over other carnivores. Alongside Megalania, Wanambi, a giant constrictor snake, once held a dominant position in the prehistoric Australian food chain. In an era when the ancient Australian continent lay beneath layers of extreme and shifting climates, a predator, unlike anything alive today, slithered across its plains and waterholes. Appearing from the late Miocene through the Pleistocene, Wanambi Lafitte, a clear imprint in both the fossil record and the mythology of indigenous communities. Wanambi belonged to the family Matsoidae, an ancient lineage of snakes once widely distributed across Gondwana. Although this family is now extinct, Their remains reveal that they were a crucial component of southern hemisphere ecosystems for tens of millions of years. The first Wanambi fossils were discovered in the famous Naracoorte Caves of South Australia, now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Based on excavated fossil fragments, paleontologist Meredith Smith described the genus Wanambi in 1976, paving the way for clearer identification of this ancient snake lineage. Two species of Wanambi are recognized: Wanambi naracoortensis, larger and more aggressive, and Wanambi barrii, smaller at under 9.8 feet. Wanambi naracoortensis could reach lengths of about 13.1 to 19.7 feet, comparable to a large modern python, but with a far more primitive skull structure. Unlike modern pythons or South American boas, this animal had a stiffer skull, less flexible joints and jaws that could not open extremely wide. This limited the size of prey. It could swallow mainly small to medium-sized marsupials rather than massive creatures like giant kangaroos or diprotodon. Despite this limitation, Wanambi was a master of ambush. Itapheton lay motionless near ecological hotspots, waterholes, marsupial pathways, places every animal had to visit to survive the dry season. When prey moved within range, Wanambi unleashed its constricting strike. Its method of constriction was not simply suffocation. Studies of constrictor muscle mechanics show that the combined effects of circulatory shutdown, respiratory failure, and mechanical pressure on internal organs render victims unconscious within seconds. With every breath the prey took, Wanambi tightened its coils further, cutting off blood flow to the brain while preventing the lungs from expanding, revealing just how terrifying this ancient predator truly was. Modern Australia lacks large terrestrial predators, but just around 3,000 years ago, this continent was the domain of Thylacoleo carnifex. Thylacoleo, or the marsupial lion, was among the most fearsome predators ever to exist. It was an ambush hunter capable of fast walking and agile climbing, preying on large animals and possibly even humans. Although the teeth of Thylacoleo appear blunt compared to the fangs of modern cats, its jaw structure was a masterpiece of evolution. Research shows that the bite force of Thylacoleo was many times stronger than that of a lion of similar size. Relative to body mass, it may have possessed the most powerful bite of any mammal that has ever lived. Thylacoleo lacked sharp canine teeth like true lions. Instead, it had enlarged incisors and modified premolars that functioned as flesh-slicing blades. When it closed its jaws, these teeth sheared together like meat-cutting scissors, a feature found in no other marsupial. What truly set Thylacoleo apart were its forelimbs' massive and reinforced shoulder bones, thick, powerful muscles, highly mobile elbow joints, and semi-opposable hands, adapted for climbing. This combination allowed it to lock prey in place through sheer mechanical strength rather than speed. Thylacoleo possessed a unique claw on each thumb known as a dew claw, a weapon unseen in any modern carnivore. This claw was long, curved, razor-sharp, and retractable like a cat's talon, functioning much like a combat dagger. During an attack, it would clamp down with its jaws, then use the thumb claw to slash deeply, even tearing open the abdomen of its victim. Thylacoleo had a long, rigid, and powerful tail that helped it maintain balance when standing on its hind legs or grappling with prey. Today, the largest flightless bird on Earth is the ostrich. It stands about 8.9 feet tall and can weigh up to 331 pounds. But millions of years ago, even an ostrich would have been overshadowed by this creature. It was Dromornis stertoni, a distant relative of modern chickens and duck. Before going extinct around 5,000 years ago, Australia was once home to birds up to 4 times larger than ostriches. Standing over 6.6 feet tall and weighing more than 441 pounds, Dromornis could not fly, but compensated with remarkable speed, a powerful beak, and eggs weighing up to 3.3 pounds. Despite its terrifying-looking beak, most evidence suggests it was not a carnivore. The structure of the pseudo-teeth within the beak-jaw musculature and digestive traits all indicate a plant-based diet. Yet even as a herbivore, its sheer presence was enough to make any intruder think twice. This bird was also known by another name, the demon duck. It was an ancient feathered giant, widely regarded as the largest bird-like animal ever to exist on Earth. To the naked eye, the fossilized skeletons of Dromornis resemble those of a dinosaur rather than a relative of modern chickens and ducks. Vast grasslands stretched across the land, interwoven with dense forests, an ideal world for herbivores. Taller than buses and predators, as formidable as saber-toothed cats. This was not merely an age of abundance, but a battle of balance between survival environment and evolution. Yet no matter how powerful or colossal they were, the giants of prehistoric Australia vanished together around 45,000 years ago. So how did early humans survive in a world dominated by such giants? And did we ourselves play a role in their extinction? While colossal creatures still rule the raw red land, another force began shaping the future of the entire continent, the arrival of humans. The first modern human group's ancestors of today's Aboriginal peoples crossed northern island chains and stepped onto a land they never knew would become their home for tens of millennia. Here, humans encountered gigantic creatures unlike anything they had ever seen, meetings that must have been both astonishing and terrifying. In many caves across central and northern Australia, archaeologists have discovered ancient rock art. Some depict marsupials larger than any species alive today, even closely matching descriptions of Thylacoleo or the thunderbirds. The arrival of humans brought profound changes to this land. They used fire to open hunting paths, burn forests, and drive animals to claim territory. Frequent burning unintentionally placed immense pressure on slow-moving megafauna. Giants like Diprotodon required vast, stable food sources, while repeated fires disrupted that balance. In contrast, predators such as Thylacoleo lost their ambush cover, weakening hunting systems that were already fragile. But perhaps the greatest impact came from direct competition between early humans and the giants themselves. Aboriginal groups wielded lightweight weapons, bone-tipped spears, and stone tools, using flexible hunting strategies that massive animals could not anticipate. Humans hunted megafauna in large numbers, reducing populations that already reproduced slowly and driving them rapidly toward extinction. During this same period, the climate grew drier. Inland winds intensified, and large lakes gradually shrank. No animals suffered more than the slow-moving giants that depended on moist forests and vast grasslands to survive. As humans continued to expand their territory, megafauna populations declined with each generation. By around 4,000 years ago, most had vanished entirely from the Australian continent, leaving ecological voids that were never fully filled. The arrival of humans opened a new chapter, permanently reshaping Australia's ecosystems and bringing an end to the era of giants that had ruled for millions of years. When the prehistoric giants disappeared, Australia did not become gentler. Instead, nature simply changed the form of its rulers. From creatures standing 10 feet tall and weighing many tons, dominant shy-feet to smaller, faster beings armed with an even more effective weapon, venom. If ancient Australia was a contest of size, modern Australia is a race of chemistry. Remarkably, Australia has only 66 venomous species, while Mexico has 80 and Brazil has 79. Yet Australia is home to the deadliest, most aggressive, and most lethal venomous animals. Snakes, bog jellyfish, marbled cone snails, blue-ringed octopuses, and stonefish rank among the top 10 most venomous animals on Earth, and all live in Australia. Even more striking, Australia is home to 20 of the 25 most venomous snakes in the world, including every species in the top 11. One of the most dangerous creatures is almost invisible beneath the water, the box jellyfish. Its body is so transparent that swimmers of Phaeton cannot see it, yet its tentacles carry stinging cells capable of injecting venom into the bloodstream with the lightest touch. This toxin spreads with terrifying speed, attacking the cardiovascular system, and can cause the heart to stop within minutes. In the ocean where speed determines survival, the box jellyfish proves that immense size is not required to become an apex predator. On land, one of the species feared by both scientists and indigenous peoples is the funnel-web spider. It is not the largest spider, but it can incapacitate any creature that accidentally enters its territory in a very short time. Funnel-web venom targets ion channels in nerve cells, forcing continuous activation, leading to paralysis and respiratory failure. Strangely, this venom is nearly harmless to many animals, yet especially dangerous to primates, including humans. When speaking of Australia's most toxic creatures, one cannot ignore the most venomous terrestrial snake in the world, the taipan. This snake is found nowhere else on Earth outside Australia. It is also known as the fierce snake, carrying enough venom in a single bite to kill 25,000 rats at once. What makes the taipan extraordinary is not just its toxicity, but its efficiency. Its venom attacks the nervous system, destroys blood cells, and disrupts clotting through multiple mechanisms at the same time. The oceans surrounding Australia are also home to small creatures that wield astonishing power. The blue-ringed octopus, soapheat-bodied and no larger than the palm of a hand, possesses tetrodotoxin, a neurotoxin powerful enough to shut down the human body with just a few milligrams. When threatened, the blue rings on its body glow brilliantly like warning lights, a signal that comes too late for anyone nearby. There is no antidote for this toxin. The only way to keep a victim alive is mechanical ventilation until the poison leaves the body. And so the question arises, why this place among all the lands on Earth became such a fearsome natural arsenal? The answer begins with its environment. This continent evolved over millions of years under hot, dry conditions, scarce resources, and relentless competitive pressure. In ecosystems where every drop of water is precious and every failed hunt may mean death, many species optimized survival through venom, a tool that conserves energy while delivering absolute advantage. Geographic isolation made this story even more unique. For nearly 40 million years, Australia remained cut off from other major continents, forming an independent evolutionary arena. Animals here faced no competition from more dominant relatives in Asia or North America. Yet they had to endure the unforgiving Australian environment. This shaped a strange evolutionary trajectory. Instead of growing larger bodies, they evolved more potent venom. These biological compounds became increasingly refined, complex, and specialized to the point that modern science still does not fully understand how some of them work. What do you think about the creatures that have lived and still live on this continent? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching until the end. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so you do not miss more fascinating content. Goodbye and see you next time.